It is really good enough as it is.
Yeah.
And we have to start somewhere, and we have to take the first steps. And then once we can take those first steps, then we can always improve it. But it's really important to, like what we normally say, tell your dreams to the dreamers, tell your vision to the visionaries.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Peak Passion Podcast,
Where we explore the secrets of creativity, inspiration, and business. How to increase your sales in the beginning. Maybe you are starting as an entrepreneur, maybe you're starting your business and okay, I'm marketing to everyone, but no one listens. I sell everything, but no one buys. And you start narrowing down through this process. You get a nice onboarding process and you clean out all the ups and downs, where the things, the friction of it.
Yeah, how would you go through that? Like if someone wants to set up their brand, someone wants to create that brand awareness through their social media, what would be a way of that you would say to someone like, okay, these are the steps you could take?
Well, like with any business, you have to identify what value you're giving, what outcome you deliver.
Mm-hmm.
By doing social proof, you have to check the brand, what your ideal client wants, and you create that offer for that specific client, and you design a whole experience that what this person would want and need to deliver that outcome. And you have to map it out. You have from start to beginning, okay, they get me here in my social media, and I want to sell, for example, photographers, unlimited amount of clients. They come all the time without having to worry to talk so much directly to people or have to do the sale, or I have to create a special package for them. No, I want to have this specific client and do this specific job. For example, portraits, maybe baby shoots. I want to do baby shoots for newborns. And you start narrowing down for moms with newborns because the baby is not going to do it. He's just going to be there being a baby and you take the photo.
Yeah, the ideal client in this way is going to be the mom. It's not, of course not going to be the baby.
But the mom cares about the baby. That could be your irresistible offer you create around this. Really nice things that you add on to make your offer irresistible. That's another thing you could add to your offer. And custom build it depending on what's the needs, the pains, and the desires of your customer. Mm-hmm. And you deliver all those things through your offer. And after you map out this experience, you start to create the onboarding experience. You design what colors will appeal to these moms. You start checking what they like, what they look for. Maybe you don't go for really strong colors. You go for the famous baby boom colors or baby soft colors. And you have to think about your market and who are you talking to. And you build upon that. And you can always improve collecting data. And it's like a circle of growth. You start improving until you find your brand and you master it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when you were doing that, when you were selling, what do you think is the biggest things that you come across? What's the questions that these people wanted normally? I think when you were building and you're selling different products for this company you built for 7 years, what was the most important questions that really tripped you down to find your client in that moment? What would those questions normally are?
Well, the thing is, very often we don't know exactly who our ideal client is. That is, a lot of people have that they don't really know who their ideal client is. And that is something that I started with as well. I had no idea. I was working with a health and wellness company, so it was all into helping people with living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
But the thing is with that is that so many people want to lose weight. You really have to figure out who you're talking to, because if you don't know who you're talking to, you will talk eventually to no one.
Your ideal client, no?
Yeah, your ideal client. Then they will hear that, for example, if you talk to yourself from 2 years ago, you figured out okay, my ideal client is myself from 2 years ago. Then if you're really talking specifically to that person, you have the person in mind, you have the idea of that, okay, this is that person. This is that. This is what they need to hear. This is what they want. This is what they need. Their desires, everything. You have it really clear.
Your ideal client, no?
Yeah, your ideal client. Then they will hear that. For example, if you talk to yourself from 2 years ago, you figured out okay, my ideal client is myself from 2 years ago. Then if you're really talking specifically to that person, you have the person in mind, you have the idea of that, okay, this is that person, this is that, this is what they need to hear, this is what they want, this is what they need, their desires, everything, you have it really clear. Talk on social media, I could really talk specifically to that person. And if that person is going to listen to my message, or if they're going to read it, they like I managed to stop them while they're scrolling. I managed to to get to those people, to get my message to those people, and eventually they're going to stop and they're going to check at my message. And then that person that I'm really targeting, that I'm talking to, of course they're going to think like, wow, this message is really for me.
Yeah.
And someone else might think like, oh, this is not for me. And that is okay. And those persons, like those people, we don't talk to them because they're not aligned with our message. So, and that can actually be scary sometimes, because you might think in that moment you're thinking like, okay, I was thinking like, okay, if I just talk to a lot of people, I will eventually just reach someone.
Yeah.
But the thing is that no one really feels like, oh, she's talking to me right now. I really feel aligned with this message. No one's gonna have that. Well, actually, if you talk to one person specifically, then that might be scary, because you might think in the first place like, oh, but maybe I'm not gonna reach anyone. Maybe there's no one who really thinks like me. Maybe there's no one who was really in that situation that I was in 2 years ago. But then eventually you're going to see that there are a lot of people still in that situation that need that same message that you needed 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it goes back to people getting to know, like, and trust you, like marketing 101, no? But the basic of it is most people forget about that, and they don't even check it. Sometimes they usually start throwing things out there and like, oh, let's see what's stick. Okay, throw this, let's see it happens. This next thing, then next thing, and then they jump from one over, and they do enough research and they analyze what truly is going on. Because it can be really overwhelming. How much times, probably you had a lot of times in the beginning, that you're like talking with someone and I don't know what's going on, this person doesn't buy it, my offer is awesome, I have everything, I deliver everything, people doesn't get it, they don't buy my product, I'm going to change their lives so much, I know I help them so much, but it doesn't happen. Maybe you had a lot of times that this situation came back, and once you, okay, I gotta sit down and think and realize to who I'm talking to, what this person needs, what this person wants, what this person truly desires, what their pains, what's that thing that will do anything to have right now. And when you know that person, when you understand that person, it's a lot easier. It makes things so much easier for your life in general. Whoever you're selling, and it's just not about business, life. Maybe so much times in your life you're trying to explain something to someone and this person couldn't understand you, because maybe you are talking to someone who had a completely different perspective from your life and from your experiences. And sometimes they, oh, I trust this person and it's fine, I understand it. That's what we have to get. That people understand you and they feel understood by your words and the way you communicate to them. And that takes time.
Yeah, that you level up with their way of thinking in some way, that you like find the thing that you have in common, that you find the thing that you like, that message that you that you stay authentic, but you could put yourself in their shoes in some way.
Yeah.
And that is a thing, like if you meet someone in real life and you're going for that, or you meet someone, or like someone meets you or your brand on social media, that you get to create that feeling for them. And that all the way from, it's not just about creating your product, that is not just about like showing them like, okay, this is my product, but really thinking about like, okay, this person arrives on my social media and what is their experience, what are they going to see on different parts of my social media, and and also like, do I decide that my social media has a face on it or not?
Yeah.
And also like, if you decide to not use a face on your social media, it's gonna cost a lot more time normally to
get the trust.
To get the trust, because they don't know who's behind the brand.
Yeah.
You can still, like, what you can do, for example, when it comes to that, is put like your brand, which doesn't have a face, but if you know that, if you can show them that, okay, I am the face behind it, and you can in that way like send them to another, like maybe to your own social media, like your personal social media, and you can show them that that brand and your social media are related in some way, then that also can create trust. So it is really about that, like really about the experience that people go through. And if you're wondering about it yourself, then you could also like ask some people, like maybe ask like people that are in your target market, like people that are your ideal client. Like, okay, what is the experience that you have? And there's nothing wrong with asking those things. And don't ask, for example, your mom, or don't ask your neighbor, because they might be not at all your ideal customer.
Yeah.
And your mom might say, "Oh, it's beautiful. It's like it looks."
You made it. It's like a small drawing or something.
Yeah, and like, "Oh yeah, you did great with it," and she might be your biggest fan, but that is
could
like,
be the opposite too.
or could be the opposite, that they might say like that they don't want to hear anything about it, or that they don't want but don't let that stop your dreams, or don't let that stop you from like thinking like, oh, it's not good enough, or like, oh, it is good enough as it is.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think it is good enough as it is, and it really isn't. And we have to be real with ourselves with that too. But it can also be the other way around. Like it is really good enough as it is.
Yeah.
And we have to start somewhere. We have to take the first steps, and then once we can take those first steps, then we can always improve it. But it's really important to, like what we normally say, like tell your dreams to the dreamers. Tell your vision to the visionaries.
Exactly.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Download your free guide in the link below. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.